Hey, folks, welcome to Friday's market wrap up here at Top Gun Options. Matthew Buckley, call sign Wiz, and man, what an incredible week this has been. From ridiculous impeachment follies in Washington to the back and forth on trade. I'm about to light the president up here in a couple minutes, so strap in for a Wiz Friday rant because he's an absolute idiot. Have a Brazil trade on. We have an EWZ, a weekly options trade, a bear call spread that's up. It's essentially flat, up a couple $100 right now. So 43 and a half. That expires today. It's well inside. What's the break even? The break even on this trade is at 43.17. So inside the break even, this trade has potential to make $5,100 if we get a little bit of a sell off into the close and EWZ pulls back a little bit. So I'm going to hang on to that one. Have a bull put spread on FXI, the iShares China ETF that expires this afternoon. This trade is up 90%, $2,400 gain in what, 2 days, 3 days. So nice looking trade right there. Have a bear call spread on FXI out to next Friday, and we're going to get into why there's a massive storm a-coming. And that's up $900. Have a bull put spread on the S&P 500 that expires today as well, up 92%, $2,600. So really good looking trades. The only one that's kind of iffy right now is this EWZ bear call spread, essentially flat. If you don't want to dogfight this thing into the close it right now for $140 profit. I'm going to hang on because I think we give a little bit of this into the close here. Have to talk about what's going on in China and what the president said today. He's an absolute disgrace sometimes. I can't even defend the guy. So we're gonna get into this in a couple minutes. You have to have the Global Times as one of your favorites. You have to see, you have to read what the enemy is saying and thinking and doing, man. U.S. a spoiler in South China Sea peace. You have to read what they're saying about trade. Read what your enemy's saying, what President Xi Jinping had to say, because initially the market was up. Is up as President Xi Jinping says we're actively trying to avoid a trade war and we need better communication. Okay, that's why stocks are up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, we are setting ourselves up for an absolute market implosion in 9 days. Unless Donald Trump is a coward, which there's a distinct possibility. And I don't use that word lightly. I am not happy with what's going on. So let's get to it. First of all, this is what everything's about. Trade, schmade. Listen to Chinese admirals. Listen to Xi Jinping. Listen to what they say. They're furious. 2 U.S. warships sailing through disputed waters. Warns them to leave. You're warning us to leave international waters? Well, it's not international waters. We own it. Ladies and gentlemen, Barack Hussein Obama, right? One of the reasons he left Iraq, he pulled troops out in the blink of an eye, created a vacuum. Who filled that vacuum? ISIS, the JV team. Does anybody miss seeing weekly videos of poor human beings in orange jumpsuits getting their heads sliced off? Or a Jordanian fighter pilot in a dog cage with gas poured on him and lit on fire? Geez, I miss those Barack Hussein Obama times. Trump had to come in and destroy ISIS. Anyway, why am I ranting about that? Because Obama said he was pivoting. I'm going to pivot from Iraq over to Asia because that's where the threat is. You know what he did? Jack squat. China sailed dirt in the middle of the Pacific or out here and dumped it at low tide on atolls, built runways, and said, this is new China. We've extended the boundaries of our country 600 miles into the Pacific, and Obama didn't say a word. What's Trump doing? Sailing warships right through the middle of these, quote, disputed. I sailed through here, folks. I've sailed through the Spratlys. I've sailed on the Abraham Lincoln, the Kitty Hawk. I sailed right through the Philippine Sea, man, through all these World War II historic places. Who claims all these islands and fishing and oil-rich? China, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, South Korea, Japan. It's a shit show. So that's going on. Now let's get into why I'm furious. The Senate this week unanimously approved a measure backing Hong Kong protesters. Nervous Nancy passed one last month. Every United States senator voted for this. 417 congressmen voted for it in the House. One didn't. I don't know who that retard was, but anyway, guess what's that? So that passed this week. Then what happened? Chinese media said, if you sign that Hong Kong bill, there will be absolutely, not only won't there be a trade deal, we'll impose sanctions on you. Whoa. Then what happened yesterday? The Chinese kind of throttled back a little bit and said what? Hey, Steve, Ambassador Lighthizer, why don't you guys hop on a plane and come over to China before Thanksgiving? So we can really become friends. Ladies and gentlemen, let me keep going on the timeline because this is comical. You have to follow this stuff. Today, Trump. We're very close with a trade deal. Very close. Huge. Potentially very close. The guy's been saying this for 20 months. He was on Fox and Friends this morning. Bottom line is we have a very good chance to make a deal with China. Nobody does deals better than me. Huge. Believe me. Ladies and gentlemen, why have the Chinese out of the blue said, hey, guys, why don't you guys come over real quick to talk? The president got this bill here. He has 10 days. There's Thanksgiving, folks. He's got 10 days to sign this thing or it becomes law without his signature. What has been reported today? This idiot, Trump, calls Hong Kong protests a complicating factor in trade talks. He wouldn't say, the White House said yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, the president would sign it. Today, the great one opened his mouth and said, I don't know if I'm going to sign that. Are you fucking shitting me, Mr. President? We have to stand with Hong Kong, but I'm also standing with President Xi. He's a friend. He's an incredible guy. He's a guy who has millions of ethnic Uyghurs in concentration camps where they're cutting their bodies up and taking and selling their organs. He's a great friend of a guy who lets Nike, Apple employ child labor in China, 10, 12, 9-year-old girls and boys to make iPhones and Nike so pieces of shit like Colin Kaepernick can get $65 million deals from Nike. Are you kidding me? He's the guy who's breaking skulls, shooting protesters who want to be free, that are running around with American flags and make Hong Kong and America great again. He stands with a guy who's going to kill protesters who are putting Patrick Henry quotes up in graffiti or carrying signs that say, this is why we need a Second Amendment. The president said he supported Hong Kong, but we are also in the process of making the largest trade deal in history. If we could do it, that would be great. 5 months ago, ladies and gentlemen, this is why you should be a Top Gun Options member. I was the first to say this. Why do I know that? Because I made it up. I didn't see it. I said, folks, I told my members months ago, the president, China is doing fantastic. They are going to force this president to decide between a trade deal and China. You can't do both. A senior administration official said on Friday that the president hadn't yet indicated he would make a final decision on the bill. What? Every Republican and Democratic senator voted this. Lindsey Graham, the guy who would literally jump in front of the president, take a bullet for him. I think, dude, you're about to be impeached and the trial's going to go to the Senate and you're going to stand with the communist leader. What are you, LeBron James, Mr. President? Are you shitting me? This is even a thought process. If he vetoed this, I would not vote for the man. I'm done with Donald Trump. And here's the problem with Trump, folks, or not problem. It depends on your politics. Here's who he is. He's a nationalist. I guarantee you he looks at Hong Kong like, why do I give a shit about Hong Kong? I care about America. Now you're starting to see some of the problems with the all I care about is America. I can see it. I can see his thinking. Who the hell? Because initially his tweets months ago on this were like that. Like, Hong Kong's part of China now. Thanks for the civics lesson, Mr. President. And, I don't think Xi needs my advice on what to do there. Everybody in the United States went apeshit. And then the next day he tweeted like, I don't know why everybody's getting upset about my Hong Kong comments. I mean, and then somebody pulled him aside like, dude, you sound like an idiot. You want to be Reagan? America is the shining house on the hill. We're the beacon of democracy, and you're not going to stand with pro-democracy protesters? That's because his gut doesn't want to stand with people protesting. He could give a shit about Ukraine. That's why he didn't want to give aid to Ukraine. It was less about the Bidens, and it was more about, why are we giving billions of dollars to a country who, first of all, didn't like me and didn't want me elected and supported Hillary? His gut instinct, folks, is to get a trade deal and screw Hong Kong protesters. Are you retarded, Mr. President? If you tacitly give Xi permission to crack skulls and go Tiananmen Square in Beijing, they will invade in Hong Kong. They will invade Taiwan. You know, the country you just sold 60, 80 F-16s to and M1 battle tanks. Are you stupid? It was a unanimous vote in the Senate. One person voted against it in the House. U.S. and China trade negotiators have attempted to keep these economic issues separate from other aspects of foreign policy. You can't do this, folks. The Hong Kong bill has enraged Beijing. Here's what China said, folks. In real diplomacy, there are certain lines you don't cross. If President Trump signs this, there will be no trade deal. They will increase sanctions on us and regular sanctions. Ladies and gentlemen, I could give a shit about a trade deal at this point. If President Trump does not sign this or vetoes it, he will look like a bigger jackass than he is sometimes. Xi Jinping today. Right now, China-U.S. relations are at a critical juncture and face some difficulties and challenges. The two sides should avoid misunderstandings and push China-U.S. relations towards the right direction of forward development. Mr. Xi rarely makes comments in public about trade. He did today. We want to work for a phase one agreement on the basis of mutual respect and equality. This is why they called and said, hey, dudes, come over before Thanksgiving and let's talk. When necessary, we will fight back, but we have been actively trying to not have a trade war. We did not initiate it, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't even believe this is an issue. For God's sakes, folks, the Washington Post, no friend of the president. Democrats are going to love this. Trump says he might veto legislation that aims to protect human rights. He did not say that. He didn't. He said I haven't made a decision on it. But this is the fake news Washington Post. But folks, Democrats will go absolutely apeshit if he vetoes this, and they will be right to. I cannot believe this is even an issue. But the president knows if he signs this thing, China will go absolutely apeshit and the market will implode. But here's where, and I briefed you on this yesterday, folks, you have got to watch Thursday's weekly debrief replay yesterday. It is a must. I mapped out the three scenarios. The initial, he signs it, everything goes apeshit, but he's got by December 1st, folks. But then December 15th, he can say, you know what, let's just calm this thing down. I'm going to forego these December 15th tariffs because I'm a good dude. You know, can we be friends again? Or if he signs it and they go apeshit, he does do the December 15th like he did back here. F me, F you. I was at Parents' Weekend up at Norwich, man, when this crap happened. Ladies and gentlemen, today, the largest hedge fund manager in the world said that he has $1.5 billion in market protection out to March. He is long volatility and short the market, folks. That's with a B. $1.5 billion. Folks, I briefed you a month ago that there was a massive call buyer of April VIX call options. Folks, this guy is not messing around. I have shifted on a dime yesterday with this whole Hong Kong bill. I went from being a, hey, Merry Christmas, Santa rally and everything like that. And it's coming to a head soon, folks. He has to act on this bill. If he doesn't sign it within 10 days, guess what happened, folks? It becomes a law without his signature. He could do that to try and appease the Chinese. That won't appease the Chinese. Look at the freaking Chinese, folks. You had an NBA manager or whatever from Houston say, hey, you know, I kind of support the Hong Kong protesters. That turned into an international incident. They had their nose so far on the joint, the Chinese government called the Houston Rockets and said, we want this guy fired. LeBron James, LeBron Mao, all these other shitbag NBA players. Adults that get paid millions of dollars to play a game with a ball, being supplicant to their Chinese overlords, because it's all about the Benjamins or the Yuans. Folks, this is a precipice here. I'm telling you, man, Trump does not sign it. He looked like a jackass months ago when he's like, whoa, this whole Hong Kong thing. Why do we give a shit about Hong Kong? Are you kidding me, dude? There's people literally running around with MAGA hats on, asking for you, begging for you to support democracy. You look like a complete jackwad. Xi's a good friend of mine, and we got to stand with Hong Kong, but I also stand with President Xi, the man who has people in concentration camps, who's a murderer. He's a communist. He's an incredible guy. You better tighten your shit up, Mr. President. You look like a jackass. If you veto this or don't do this, I've had it. I get his nationalist instincts. Why the hell do we care about Hong Kong? We do. I do. I care about anybody around this world who yearns to be free, who quotes Patrick Henry. See the graffiti in Hong Kong on some of the subways? Give me liberty or give me death. We're the freaking country where those quotes came from, you jackass, and you're going to stand with the communist leader? You better wake up, Trump. He doesn't sign this thing, man. Just at the same time he's going through an impeachment trial or impeachment. This will be a gift to the Democrats. They're probably going to wait a week to draw up articles of impeachment, because when the clock runs out on him having to sign this, it's going to be right around the time the Democrats go, oh my God, look at him. He's also colluding with a foreign government in Hong Kong. I've already been on Twitter all day, and that's got to the left is going overboard. This is insane. So, guys, I'm grab the popcorn and watch. But I will be completely heartbroken if the president does not stand with pro-democracy protesters. And if he does, like he should do the right. I can't wait to see Lindsey Graham's reaction to this. And if he does, when, I'm not going to say if, when he stands with these protesters, China's going to go apeshit and the market's going to implode. Be ready. I've told you this is the week. This is the week you get long. I told you Monday, Tuesday, get long volatility. If you're not long volatility right now, you're an idiot. And then here we come on Friday. Ray Dalio said a huge hedge fund convention going, hey, man, I am absolutely convinced in the next couple months we're going to implode. That's why you're a member here at Top Gun Options, folks, for me to teach you this stuff, to give you this intelligence. Do the right thing, Donald. You don't do the right thing, you've lost me. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you Monday for Monday's market outlook. God bless. We'll see.